I think there are two things which will drive the uptake of high-speed broadband. The one is what I'm calling broadband-centric media, in other words, IPTV, media on demand, which is becoming more popular. And I've been quoting a study by the Diffusion Group, which says by about roughly the end of the decade, there will be more hours watched on broadband TV than on broadcast TV in the US. And that's a reasonable bellwether. So that broadband-centric media is going to drive the requirement for media-centric broadband, which means really broadband that can cope with the lack of burstiness of media traffic. Media traffic tends to be unlike web traffic in that it's fairly sustained and continuous, whereas web traffic is highly bursty. And that means, A, you not only need the speed, but you need the ability to aggregate the traffic in the network. Well, from a network perspective, you've got to be able to scale your backhaul up to meet the number of users that you're serving, and that does mean that you need fixed networks. So there's a notion that because if you look at the headline speeds, that mobile speeds are roughly the same as fixed speeds with a phase lag of 8 years, more or less, that you could just wait 8 years and replace fixed with mobile. But in fact, because of this requirement to scale up and aggregate your bandwidth, you still need fixed networks. They're still very important in the scheme of service delivery. The second driver will be cloud services. Increasingly we're putting more and more of our everything into the cloud, both enterprises and consumers. And that means that service reliability and ubiquity are going to be critical, which means you have to have, again, a combination of fixed and mobile networks, because you need to be able to use it wherever you are and when you're on the move. You need to meet latency targets, because effectively what you're doing is breaking apart your computing environment and putting one part there in the cloud and another part in front of you. So you need to make sure you've got low enough latencies. And in my presentation yesterday, I talked about cloud gaming, which is a very good example of the type of service, new age service, where you need to reach, in using today's consoles as a comparison, you need to have round-trip network times of about 24 milliseconds. So it puts very stringent requirements on the network in terms of being able to deliver that from a latency point of view. You need higher upstream bandwidth. That doesn't mean to say it needs to be symmetric, but the ratio of downstream to upstream is going to decrease. And you need to be able to support multiple devices. So it's not sort of a fixed device or a mobile device. It's just a device that works on whatever network connectivity is available. I've been talking about cloud services as being things like infrastructure as a service, where you're really just taking your compute environment and moving it into the cloud. I'm starting to talk now about cloud solutions, which is more about the end-to-end support for a whole enterprise IT solution or small business IT solution, where if you're the owner of the enterprise, instead of having a whole IT team, you have a CIO who goes online and goes to the equivalent in an app store and says, I'll take the pharmacy solution because I'm running a pharmacy. And you get that delivered out of a cloud ecosystem, which is a lot of software as a service, but built together as ecosystems. And I think that that comes in with big data, because that's about data aggregation. And I think telcos are well positioned to offer that type of service, because we're naturally trusted in those regards, and we have experience in managing data and services. The big advantage is that everyone's here, and you get to see your peers from across the world. You get to meet innovative new players, which is important so we can see their emerging trends, and you get to hear the meme, as I think of it. What are the sort of key buzzwords and things that are happening around the industry at the moment. So it's kind of those three factors add a lot of value. And the interesting thing about Broadband World Forum is I used to think of fixed broadband, as really being about rich folks, so only developed countries. But now 3/4 of the world's countries are here, which is an interesting reflection on how important it is globally.